I'm joined via Skype by Professor Jonathan Jansen from Stellenbosch University. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. Someone has to be the bearer of bad news, I guess. So you're suggesting that the school year is over. Why?
Yes, certainly the school year as we know it is over, because there is no way that schools will open soon. And even when they do, the time for any meaningful learning will be greatly reduced, given that by October, November, we already begin to send the matrics into their final examination. And that requires a completely different way about thinking about the academic year.
A different way of thinking about the academic year, but we do know that coronavirus has sort of exposed some of the dysfunctionalities that we have in our schooling system, and you're proposing a number of measures be done once we know when schools will be reopened. We're still none the wiser. Let's start with the first one of scrapping the academic school year, even a trimmed-down curriculum.
Yes, so my basic proposal, given the uncertainty, but also given, when we do eventually open, the fact that there is no way we would meaningfully cover the curriculum, that we basically pass every kid in grade 1 to grade 11 automatically to the next grade and make up for the lost academic time in the 2021 school calendar.
When you say pass every pupil from grade 1 to grade 11, what does that mean, especially when it comes to comprehension? Is it that easy?
It is actually quite easy, and it's not that this hasn't happened before in world history, where you have a major interruption because of a war, for example, that you automatically pass everybody. Remember, if you cannot meaningfully assess anything anymore because of the substantial amount of time lost, and so pass everyone. Organizationally, that's inevitable because you have a new grade 1 class coming next year and a new grade 8 class in high school starting next year. So there is no way you can keep back kids. And if you assess them, on what basis are you assessing them, given the loss of time? And as you just inferred, remember that the children who are able to make up lost time through online learning is really about, at best, 20% of the school population. Most of our children have not been able to access meaningful learning in the long term.
You're also suggesting that for grade 12s, for provinces to reach an agreement with school on parts of the curriculum to be covered, that you set new exam papers. Is this feasible, especially with the times that we are facing, not just coronavirus-wise, but from already what they have done?
Yes, look, most students who will go to university, for example, have already been provisionally accepted on the basis of past grade results. So that's not a disaster. What we need to be realistic about is that we won't be able to cover a substantial amount of, let's say, the physical science curriculum or the economics curriculum. And so work out what you will assess on a reduced curriculum. That is what has been covered in the 9 provinces, which more or less should have been at the same stage of the curriculum. And then work out with universities or technical colleges what those parts of the curriculum are that they can cover with the university staff at the beginning of next year, that is opening these institutions early year. I think that is eminently feasible. It will take a huge amount of planning. It is not something that, should easily be done. But we can pretend, that everything is usual, not admit students next year. It will be a disaster for universities who are dependent on incoming students to be able to subsidize themselves. So I think we need to put our heads together here and to sort of say, bring school teachers and university teachers together so that, for example, a BSc student is able to, starting in the first week of January, assuming we open, to already begin to catch up with whatever's been missed out. But there is no way you can cram what has been lost into the remaining month or 2 or 3 of 2020, even for the matriculant class.
Sure. Let's talk about the emotional and psychological support for learners, teachers and parents, particularly at this time. Some children who are being raised by their grandparents who are not even, able to work out the technology, if they have at all.
Yes, look, I think there's not enough discussion, not only in South Africa but around the world, on what happens when children eventually get back to school. We really mustn't think, as I said in that Times article, about children as cognitive machines that you can just switch on the moment they get back to school in, let's say, July or August or whenever that is going to happen. Kids are going to be afraid. Somebody coughs next to you, you're going to freak out. Teachers are going to be very, very weary and wary of what is happening in their classroom. So in addition to the intellectual task, which is, teaching and learning, we have to think about providing adequate emotional and psychological support to children, but also to teachers as and when they return to school.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Professor Jonathan Jansen from Stellenbosch University.